objection? Okay, so we'll hand over to Friendship. The way this evening would flow, we'll have a presentation from Friendship, and Friendship will also allot time for Q&A. I believe we're still in good time to give each school up to 50 minutes to present, about 40 minutes approximately, and there'll just be a closing statement. So it's at the discretion of each school to allocate the time that they would prefer to use towards their presentation and Q&A. And of course, there will be subsequent interactions with everyone by the schools, the respective schools at the respective campuses, and more details about that will be shared as well. So this is not an official board meeting. This is literally a time for us to come together as a community to really learn about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Thank you. Over to you, Friendship.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good evening to everyone. I am Pat Brantley. Some of you may have met me last week when we were on one of these calls before. I am the current CEO of Friendship Schools, which operates schools throughout the District of Columbia. We were born here in the district in 1997, opening our first schools in 1998. We now have 15 campuses that are from preschool through 12th grade. 2 of our schools are high schools. And we also run the district's only free public online schools, Friendship Online for K-8 and Friendship Online High School at our collegiate campus. The first thing before we get into this, and I know that, change can be difficult, but that doesn't mean that change won't be good. If we work together, we can make it so. And so before we start our conversation, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us a chance to come in and say what we can do and to work with you to build on the foundation that's already in place. As we think about our work over the next few weeks and months, our goal is simple. It is to ensure that we are in partnership with you to build on the foundation that already exists at Hope Lamond and to cultivate the school of your dreams, one where students can experience joy in learning and cultivate their own curiosity. That's really our goal, is to make the program shine in the way that you dream and envision. And so our commitments over the next 90 days are to ensure as stable a transition as possible for the students and the team members by learning, codifying what you feel are your best practices so that we make sure those are incorporated, listening, taking time to hear, teaming, joining with the current staff and families to make sure that we are launching activities in the spring and summer that are important to you, and then resourcing, investing in the students, investing in the curriculum, in the PD, in the staff, and in the facility. We understand that there is a need for up-to-date and current curriculum materials. We understand that the staff is interested in PD. We also understand that there are longstanding facility concerns that need to be addressed, and we will work on those. We're going to not spend a long time on our presentation today because we do want to hear from you. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about some of the work that's going to happen in the background before I turn it over to Friendship Chief Academic Officer, Bielka Scott Marcus, and our Chief of Staff, Ken Cherry, to talk about the work we'll do together. In the background, what's important for you to know is that we are working closely with the Public Charter School Board and the Hope Board, and we will be submitting an amendment application to amend our charter to operate in a new location. It's our intent and our interest to keep kids together at the campus that they know and that they're used to, but yes, to upgrade that campus. It generally takes until the PCSB to take an action to allow my school DC to act. And so we will hopefully amend our charter through an application that we'll submit in April, and then we will immediately then work with my school DC to ensure that students can easily come into the Friendship family as soon as we hope being able to join us for programs that we start in the summer. We do pretty intensive programs in the summer and then right into the fall. And then of course, the background for all of this is us working with the real estate, hopefully purchasing the real estate by June and getting through with all of that. And then really using this summer to renovate the facility. And so those are the things that we'll be doing in the background. But I know what's most important to you is what's going to happen in the foreground. What does education look like? What's a day in the life? What will it look like for staff? And so I'm now going to turn it over to Bianca Scott Marcus, again, our Chief Academic Officer, to start that presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Brantley, and good evening, everyone. I am very, very happy and excited to be here. Wanted to talk a little bit about what student achievement looks like, and from our eyes, what we offer that will extend the definition, not only focusing on student achievement, but what a world-class education and what a world-class experience will look like. So from the outset, a data review of all data that is available, both academic and other forms of data. We will collaborate together with the Hope Lamont team to complete a curriculum and technology audits, because we want to make sure that all of the curriculum and technology that is in use, all of the best practices that are in use, that we're able to combine the things that we are currently using with the best practices that exist at Hope Lamont, so that we can have some continuity of services as well as resources. In terms of our special education and ELL populations, so our students with disabilities and ELL population, Friendships Office will coordinate. Our student support services team will work collaboratively with the Hope team to make sure that we have a seamless transition that meets the requirements, as well as each individual student's needs as outlined by their IEP, or other documents that provide services above and beyond the scope of the core curriculum and Tier 1 instruction. When we think about a world-class approach, this looks like a lot on this slide, but it is quite a robust experience for our scholars. When we think about what that means and what that looks like, we offer world-class specials, so languages, PE, art, music, dance, and in tandem with that, the support to the core curriculum and what we deem as a comprehensive curriculum across the 4 content areas, but extending to the support systems that really look at the individual scholar in guided reading and close reading, as well as math story problems, and our outdoor classrooms and spaces that are utilized to extend the learning from the brick and mortar into the outdoor space. And that happens throughout the day in different formats. Yes, we do assess all of our students, and the assessments that we're currently using as a network from our K through 10th grade students is the NWEA MAP assessment, which many of you I'm sure are very familiar with, and the Fontes and Pinnell, as well as our individually developed short cycle assessments, as well as exit tickets that are taken by all of our scholars beginning in kindergarten, specifically through 8th grade. And we developed those in alignment with our current curriculum that we utilize for implementation on a daily basis. We do offer special programs, and in particular at our Ideal campus, our Reggio-inspired early childhood classrooms foster creativity and just the joy and love of learning. We think about the classroom that our youngest learners are in as the third teacher, and how that their day looks is guided by their interests and guided by the love of learning and the joy that's instilled in the learning process. You will see other special programs outlined on this slide, as our IB program, which is at our Woodridge campus, our arts and STEM programming, which spanned all of our pre-K to 8 campuses and our high schools. We see social emotional learning as a priority as well. So how that gets infused throughout the scholar's day extends from the moment they walk into the building throughout their day. We stay connected with scholars because we recognize how important it is to ensure that the well-being of the scholar is paramount in their ability and availability for learning throughout the day. So those practices are implemented are restorative practices, counselors, social workers at all of our campuses, and really a very aligned and very outlined MTSS process or multi-tiered support system, which envelops not only the academics, but behavior and other entities that just go beyond and really wrap our arms around our scholars. We offer a full cadre of out of school time programming or extended day programming. We do have before and after care, but in those times and moments when students are with us, we do support them with homework help, and we also support them in their interests. So there's an array of clubs from chess to robotics. We have sports that our students are involved in as intramural sports. So we play other schools as well as schools within the Friendship Network through a schedule, and those sports that students have available to them span an array of interests as well. And I'll transition over to my colleague, Mr. Cherry, who will share a little bit more about what it looks like from an organizational standpoint.
Thanks, Bielka. So next, we really want to get the opportunity to learn from within. So we first want to learn more about your team members. So those Hope Lamond team members that are interested in learning more about friendship and so forth, and how we operate within our buildings, we're asking them to reach out to our HR department. I know Dylan Groover is on the call tonight. If he puts his hand up and waves, he would love to host transition meetings with all of those team members who are interested. And we have a very special link right on our webpage. It's called FPCS at Hope Lamond. And we're encouraging those team members who want to learn more about friendship, whether they be teaching opportunities, instructional support opportunities, to go out and fill out that interest survey so that our HR department can reach out to those team members and then set up some meetings so that we can begin this process. We're also hoping to learn more by doing some virtual classrooms, visits and observations. So we'll work with the Hope Lamond leadership team to schedule some opportunities to go visit classrooms and watch teaching and learning as it happens with the scholars. Because all of that information is very, very important to us. As Ms. Brantley alluded to, we want to make sure that we plan the best professional development and orientation process for Hope Lamond team members who are coming on board. As she mentioned before, much of August is really dedicated to that experience. So we kick off that session always with an onboarding session. We then have an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about friendship. And then we anchor ourselves in what we call the Friendship University, which is really a 2-week opportunity for all of our team members to come together to learn our curriculum, to learn more about our instructional practices and strategies, and make sure that individuals are ready then for their school experience. And then a final piece that we'll look into, aside from the educational piece, is also the operational structure. So we'll partner with EdOps and other leaders within Hope Lamond to learn a little bit how the organizational structure is set up, roles and responsibilities, and making sure that we have a very seamless and smooth transition between Hope Lamond and Friendship. The next piece that we want to look like that's part of our transition plan is really looking at the organizational culture. And we really anchor ourselves in making sure that our director of parent involvement and our deputy chief of staff will schedule town halls and surveys to be conducted with the Hope Lamond community, because we really want to learn your hopes and dreams, but we also want to learn as much as we possibly can about your school culture. And from there, know that we have a full enrollment team that's waiting to assist you. So as Ms. Brantley said, as we, the Public Charter School Board, as well as my school DC work together, just know that our enrollment team is there waiting to assist you and those families who are interested in applying to the Friendship Ideal Elementary and or middle school. And then throughout this process, we promise to make sure that we are updating all of our stakeholders on the transition and where we're at with some of those behind the scenes opportunities, as well as some of those other opportunities that we talked about with respect to school visits and also town halls. And then finally, community relations. Community relations really gives us the opportunity for you to learn a little bit about us, and we continue to learn a little bit about you. So we will establish campus tours for those community members who would like to come visit our campuses either virtually or physically, so that they can see our programs in action. Friendship and Hope will visit with the ANC so that we can explain our plans to them with respect to Hope consolidating from 2 buildings to 1, but also allowing them to understand Friendship's desire to also expand and look at the Lamont campus as part of our Friendship Ideal campus. And then finally, we also would like to work with the school leadership team to learn what existing partnerships are already in place at Hope Lamont, because we want to make sure that we also reach out to those partners and we become good friends, and we can continue that support and fellowship during this transition. So those are our 5 kind of tenets to our transition plan. As we said, we wanted to keep our presentation short so that we have plenty of times for questions and answers. And again, we thank you for allowing us to present here this evening.
So I am monitoring the chat and I don't see questions there, but would ask if there are questions, please let us know. And while you're thinking of that, I know that Ken mentioned that we want to know your interest for academic positions, but it also is non-academic as well. It would be any positions that are currently in place. So you might look through Friendship's titles or our career site and say, potentially, I don't see my job. The title is not as important as we want to know what you do at Hope Lamont and how you can help support kids. So please do follow the link, even if it's not something that you see on our site as your specific position.
And Pat, I just add that Joseph Spate is on the call as well, who is the current principal at our Ideal campus. So if there's anything that you may want to know specifically about the Ideal campus, we are welcome to take those questions as well.
Hi, so Ms. Lenora has a question in the chat. Is Lamont remaining an elementary school? And so across the street, our Friendship Ideal campus is preschool to 8th grade. We had already started deconstructing or taking down the warehouse building that was there to build a distinct middle school building in that space. So our plan for Lamont is that it will remain in the elementary younger grades.
I see another question. So is this finalized that it will be Friendship Hope essentially?
Yes, we don't have an exact name yet, but Friendship Academy at Hope or Hope Academy at Friendship. But yes, that is correct.
And then another question, can the Tolson staff apply at Friendship as well?
Yes, when we have done this before, sometimes we found that people prefer to be either in middle school or in a different position, or to change a content area, or they want it to be at a larger campus or at the IB campus. And so what I will say to you is that the stability of students who are in Hope Lamont is going to be a first goal. But there are opportunities to work within Friendship if it's not a good fit for you to stay where you are. But I ask people to consider first, many people who work at Friendship have worked with us for a very long time. There are always opportunities for us and across our campuses. But our goal right now is to make sure that Lamont is as strong as possible.
And there's another question in the chat. So the teachers our kids currently have aren't guaranteed under the new regime.
No, they're not guaranteed, but we get this question a lot. There aren't great teachers just sitting around waiting for us to show up, right? What we understand about Lamont, what I understand about Lamont is that you have a strong culture and a good program, but we are required by law to review everyone's credentials who's come in to make sure that they have the appropriate background checks. I assume that that is the case, but they do have to go through the hire process. It's sometimes different if it's considered an acquisition. That's not what this is, but people do have to apply.
And I apologize, Letitia Carter. I skipped over your question in the chat. Are you willing to have activities such as show choir and theater? And the answer is absolutely yes. We currently have several choirs at several of our campuses. We offer dance and theater at several of our campuses. And we have culminating activities that showcase the talent of our scholars across the city. We recently had a East of the River showcase that involved choirs and soloists singing and performing. And that was a live virtual experience for our scholars. And we had choirs and performers from Maryland, from DC, from Virginia, who applied to participate, and it was called Sounds Through Friendship. And it was a beautiful presentation of scholars' talent. And that is the most recent event that we've had, but we host talent shows on a regular basis at the individual campuses. And as I've said, at each of our campuses, we have talented teachers as well as scholars who participate. And I see that Mr. Spate has also dropped in the chat that his music teacher, particularly at Ideal, is a phenomenal music teacher who has a variety of experiences in both theater, dance, and vocal. And he may share a little bit more about that.
We also, the head of the Washington Youth Choir is a teacher of music at Friendship and provides opportunities for kids to participate in things across the city. We also have something called the Friendship News Network, and our students are producing news, even down to preschoolers who do book reports that we video and then show online and in other places. So that definitely exists, but the arts are very important to us. Recently, to profile our teachers, we got a grant from DC Commission on the Arts and had a completely exclusive adult staff gallery show. And we can send links to that because we understand that our teachers of art are actually artists themselves who are working with us, and we find ways to elevate what they are doing through their work.
Yeah, we just have Annie, the musical Annie. We are working on that for this season. So that's why I was asking.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And so, in 1 year, we had a musical that we actually took to a theater on U Street.
The Lion King.
Because our kids, The Lion King, did so well in it. And so we do have those opportunities. And we are partnered with a private school in Upper Northwest that has a black box theater that allows us to, hopefully, when we're back in person, to do live shows in an actual theater.
And then in the chat, we also have, hello, will Continuing Hope students re-enroll with Friendship through My School DC, or will they be transferred in?
So we're working with the charter board and My School DC on how that will work. And so our hope is that they can make it a smooth process so they can re-enroll directly. But if they can't, the one option is that students before the last day of school enroll in Friendship and then just roll over that way. That would also give access to the summer program because you'd be Friendship students before the end of this year. Ms. Green asked the question about cafeteria staff. Yes, please go and fill out the same application as teachers. So no matter what role you have, you can use that same link. So we did that just to make it easy. If you are interested in positions at other campuses, you can look through what's there, but we will find that out when we talk to you if you go through the same link.
Mr. Poindexter asked, will the mascot change?
So, we have to work on what the mascot will be. I'm partial to your mascot because I got that a Samoyed who looks exactly like your mascot. And we probably will do some combination of the Ideal Warriors and that mascot to bring them together. The colors are similar, and so we wouldn't expect that parents would have to change all their uniforms. We would provide support for any changes that would happen in that way going into this next year.
Ms. Upshur asked, I have a 7th grader at Tolson. If I enroll her at Friendship Lamont for 8th grade, would I need to apply again for high school?
No, you would have a right to go into any of Friendship's 2 high schools. Our tech prep campus, which is focused on technology, or our collegiate campus, which has a range of different things, but the collegiate campus has a football program and very strong arts. The tech prep campus has a strong basketball program, also strong arts, but toward dance and instrumental music. And we can obviously provide more information on those programs.
Yes. What are the student-teacher ratios for Friendship? So the student-teacher ratios range at various grade levels. So in our early childhood, the student-teacher ratios are 2 to about 14 to 15 students. And beginning in kindergarten, it is still 2 adults to about 18 to 20 students. And beyond our kindergarten, we try to maintain a co-teaching model where it is feasible. So we maintain 2 adults, either the teacher of record or the core teacher, and a co-teacher who may be a teacher's assistant and or another content teacher or support specialist. And so in the upper grades, beginning probably around a 2nd or so, you may have upwards of 20 to 22 students in a classroom. And that ranges on capacity of size and things of that nature. And as we know, just because we're sort of in a social distancing world, it looks a little bit different because of the capacity restrictions that exist currently. But typically those would be the teacher to student ratios.
It's a little different if you visit Ideal, because the way that that building was constructed, the classrooms are a lot smaller on one side of the building. And so you'll see smaller ratios. And so we do take into consideration the size of the space that kids need to be in.
Another question from Savannah Powell. If you work at Tolson, but you want to apply to any of the Friendship campuses, is there a contact person that we can send our documents to for other open positions? And so the answer is yes. And you will find those open positions on the, using the link that Ms. Brantley referenced a few minutes ago, but we can also share that link. And I believe the current principal has the link available to her from Principal Spate, but we can also share that link. And Ms. Brantley put it into the chat, and so did Mr. Groover. You can either email at careers@friendshipschools.org, or you can use the link that Mr. Groover placed in the chat as a point of reference. You're welcome.
So, partnerships.
Yes, community partnerships. Mr. Chair, we have an array of community partnerships, and they range from individual campus partnerships as well as LEA-wide or friendship-wide partnerships, some of which, one of which Ms. Brantley mentioned, but those partnerships, come in the form of grants as well from time to time. And some of those partnerships are directly associated with the community and some of the neighboring businesses that come into the community. Mr. Spate can speak specifically about some of the partnerships that exist at Ideal, which may be more familiar in terms of the community as it exists currently. Unmute, maybe. He's not able to.
Yeah, maybe he's not able to.
Okay.
We try to, Mr. Spade says he can't hear. Also, I know there's a question about self-contained classrooms, and I know our Director of Student Support Services, Rachel Roberts, is here. So I would love for her to just talk a little bit about our offerings at Friendship and talk a little bit more about how we approach special education.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cherry, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Rachel Roberts, and I'm the Senior Director of Student Support Services in the District Office of Friendship. And so we have special education services and programs across our entire LEA. And so we have self-contained classrooms, we have resource rooms, and we have kids that are in the inclusion model. At our Ideal campus, we have a specialized program. It's called the Intensive Language and Sensory Room, which goes from 3 years old until 8th grade. It's 2 separate classrooms. And so a lot of students that have the disability classification of autism or a nonverbal speech and language disorder are in that classroom. In addition to that program, at our collegiate campus, we have a program for students that have intellectual disabilities, and that ranges from grades 9th grade through 12th grade. And then we also have an intellectual program at our Chamberlain campus. So those are our special programs. Each campus has a special education coordinator, and the coordinator is the actual person who is the nucleus of the special education program at that campus. We offer all kinds of related services. We have in-house psychologists that are assigned to every campus. We have in-house speech and language providers that are assigned to every campus. In addition to that, we contract out for occupational therapy, physical therapy, and any adaptive services that are needed. We use a system called SEDS, which is probably the same system that you all use for tracking and monitoring and updating IEPs. In addition to that, of course, we have special education teachers, we have dedicated aides, and we have paraprofessionals that serve across our LEA for students that need that type of service.
Rachel, could you also talk a little bit about ELL services as well?
Absolutely. So we have an ELL program. So we have a coordinator of ELL, and we have, and the coordinator serves in a half role. He teaches a small caseload, and then there are 3 additional ELL teachers. And so they service across our entire LEA. We have about 80 to 85 students in our LEA who fall into that category, and they provide all of the services for those students.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I only see one more question in the chat that I don't believe we have answered, and that is, does FPCS Hope have a projected number of teachers needed per grade level? And if so, can you provide that information?
So currently we will be working with your principal to mirror the structure you already have in place for teachers per grade level. And so while we know that it's that the enrollment right now is smaller than it may have been over the past few years, we are trying to enroll the same number and match what's in place.
Awesome. And the last, okay.
Can you?
I didn't. Can you repeat the question? Okay. There is another question in the chat. If staff are applying for positions that require advanced credentials or licensure, will grace be extended in this transition?
So typically, yes, unless it's required. So for example, if you're required to be a licensed social worker, we may not be able to put you in that position, but we can put you in another position as you get the credential that is necessary. We also have been very successful in helping people get their credentials, whether that's through the house process that OSSI uses, or because we've got partnerships with some universities and some people that do credentialing. And so just make it known at the time that you are filling out the application that you would like assistance reviewing the credentials that you have and any other assistance for completing what the credential is. And that is something that we have done over time. We do have operations positions available. Clearly, there are operations positions at the Lamont site, but throughout Friendship, we also have other operating or operations positions that are available. We do our own in-house food service, not just the chefs, to the menus, to the ordering, to the delivery, to the cooking. And again, delivery both to our campuses, and right now we're running delivery service throughout. We have our own accounting team and finance, our own business managers. Most of the services we do ourselves. Our security is all our own. Our facilities, we do have a partner that we've worked with for a long time, but then we also have some facilities team inside, and then our technology is our own. So there are operating positions or operations positions available. I do want to come back to the community service question because I know that wasn't answered. We will send an answer of all the partnerships that we have to Principal Pela. But so you know, we do things like foster grandparents that are supporting in our classrooms, literacy tutors, sometimes high school students that have been trained to come and work with younger kids, but also other volunteers that come in and help with literacy. We have community partnerships with the golf course so that kids can learn those skills. We've got an elementary basketball and an elementary athletic league so that students have volunteers that come in and help them learn different sports. And then they play, we call it a league, but they're playing among Friendship campuses. So there are lots of opportunities for community partnership and for volunteers that come in and support our program. Oh, Mr. added the answer.
Yeah, he he did put some of the community partners that are unique to Ideal in the chat.
I think we just have a few more minutes, but you know, we are right here. I just want to emphasize this. We live and work right here in DC. We have schools that are open for learning hubs, modified operations. The kids are virtual, but they come into our sites because the family said that's what they needed. We're moving into a hybrid program over the next month. We are able to do safe mass tours if you want to see what it looks like in person at Friendship right now, or if you just want to come and see what our facility looks like when kids aren't there and you can see the investments that we've made. You can talk to people that worked at other places and then came to work with us. And we are going to organize all of that through your principal and your existing, your assistant principal as well. And so, but I just want to emphasize that we are here and you can talk to us. We know that it can be hard to be in one place and realize that you've got to change and be someplace else, but we will work to make this as smooth as possible.
Thank you. I only see one more question in the chat, and it's, would you consider keeping the Spanish club at Lamont? And the answer is absolutely. We pride ourselves in offering languages to our students. We have one Mandarin teacher at our high school, and our other languages that we offer are Spanish and French. So we absolutely would not only consider it, we would love to have it.
Oh, and if I could mention something else, while a lot of what we're talking about is making sure that the school is up and running, and there's obviously the fall program, many of our teachers who aren't taking a break and other staff decide that they want to run clubs and activities during the summer. And so you will have the opportunity to say what clubs and programs during the summer you might be interested in leading. Other people can come and work with us and help on curriculum development because we do that during the summer as well. We also aren't going to take for granted that all PD is just driven by Friendship. I'm sure you know among your people that are on your staff who is the best at doing this. We want to know that as well because there are opportunities to lead PD at Friendship during the summer. Anything else?
I think one more question came into the chat. So if it's okay, Rebecca, can we take the last question that's in the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
The question in the chat is about Tolson, and we're specifically talking about Lamont. So I'm wondering, do you want us to take that question, or is that? Yeah.
We could defer to PLA when they go out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
So Ms. Gallagher, PLA will be able to answer that. All right. All right, so thank you, everyone. We will make sure that you have chances to meet more people at Friendship. I particularly want to make sure that you have a chance to meet the people that run our summer learning and our extended learning. They're all in-house at Friendship, and you can learn about that process. You will have a chance to meet our HR people. I am easily accessible. I am more than willing to come up to Lamont if you want to have a mass visit with me, and that is true of anybody that's on this team. So thank you for your time tonight. Please continue to ask us questions, anything that you're interested in knowing, and Ms. Phalen will be talking with us to make sure that we get those questions. Thank you again.
Thank you. If I may just quickly ask, I think that's another question that came up on teaching African American history and specific social issues concerning people of color. What is Friendship stance on teaching African American history and specific social issues concerning people of color? And I think this would be the last for Friendship,
Okay.
for now.
I'll be quick and Bielka can jump in. It is very important to us. I spent most of my career working for Dr. Dorothy Irene Height in civil rights. I grew up among Dr. Height and people who were dedicated to the advancement of African Americans. Friendship has a curriculum in social studies that is built around the struggle. And so it is important to us. We brought John Lewis to see our students. We also sent our students on John Lewis's last walk across the Evan Pettus Bridge. And so these are things that are embedded within Friendship. The students that we serve, it is our commitment to ensure that they are not only proud of themselves and what they bring to the table, but that they know their history and why that history is important. And just quickly, Bielka, do you want to add anything?
I think the only thing that I would add is that it begins in kindergarten. So we understand how important it is for that sense of understanding about yourself and your history begins at an early age. So it's not something that we save or for social studies as a course in middle school. It is something that is embedded, and it is done in small group instruction and throughout the core curriculum that's offered throughout the day. We have taken a significant amount of time, but also intentional investment in the curation of the trade books and the materials and resources that are associated with the units so that authors look like our scholars, the illustrations in those books look like our scholars. You can see Ms. Brantley holding up some of our trade books that we utilize right now in our curriculum, both in our core ELA instruction, as well as in our social justice curriculum and our teaching tolerance curriculum, which are the two units of study that begin in kindergarten. And so she has up quite a number of them, and all of those authors are African-American authors and people of color that highlight students of color as well.
And the other thing that I would add, and Bielka's right, our formal curriculum does start in kindergarten, but I can send you examples of what our preschoolers do so that they understand and start to be exposed and proud of an understanding of their own history. So thank you for the question.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity to respond as well.
Thank you so much, Friendship. And thank you everyone for the questions and just this sense of unity and camaraderie that we are feeling today. We hope and pray that it continues this way. And we really get to where we're looking forward to going. So thank you, everyone. So at this time, we'll have Phalen Leadership Academies.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hope that you're doing well. We apparently lost the coin toss and deferred to the second half, but it's great to be here with you. First and foremost, just as Pat and her team shared, we're humbled and honored to be a partner at the Tolson campus. We're going to share a little bit of an overview of PLA, and it will be obviously speaking to you as educators and you as parents. I know some of you have been to some of the previous meetings, so sort of semi-apologize for any overlap of things that you're hearing for multiple times. Just want to begin by introducing kind of the team members that are here today.
I'll jump in. My name is Andrea Robinson, and I am the Chief Academic Officer with Phalen Leadership Academies. I'm excited to be here and excited to share more about us this evening with you.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle McConico. I'm the National Director of Marketing and Communications for PLA, and I am also excited. I'm excited for the children of Tulsa campus. I'm excited for the children of the Lamont campus, and just so grateful to be here with such an amazing group of people who are really working to move the needle and impact the lives of children. So thank you for having us.
Hello, my name is Jason Feldman. I'm the Director of Human Resources for Phalen Leadership Academy. And I just want to thank you for attending this important meeting, and we're excited to tell you about Phalen Leadership. Thank you.
So Andrea, if you thank you. My name is Earl Martin Phalen. The actual name of the nonprofit is the George and Veronica Phalen Leadership Academies. That's my mom and dad, and at some point I'll share my personal journey and story. But at this point, I'm just pleased to be here and share a little bit about the organization. PLA, or Phalen Leadership Academies, overview at just kind of a high level. We were a nonprofit, just like Friendship. We were started in 2013. We're blessed now to serve a little over 10,000 scholars, grades K to 12 in multiple states throughout the country. And we're most proud of the fact that we understand that education can be the most transformative experience for children. It can be a way to create, define yourself, create and define your future. And PLA has been blessed to help now 9 schools go from a very low letter grade in terms of maybe not having the right school climate and culture, maybe not having the right set of supports and resources and opportunities for scholars to imagine who they can be, and maybe not having the right academic programs in place that allow scholars to use their education to craft their future. And so we're just blessed to be here with you tonight. Core values center kind of everything that we do. And I guess the only 2 that I'll highlight is every decision that we make from this moment forward as it relates to this partnership puts children at the center of it. Regardless of the resources required, regardless of the toughness of the decision, everything is to put children first, because we understand that this is a chance for our scholars, for our children, for your children, to use education to create the brightest futures possible for them. Part of the second value is for us is gratitude, which is we're grateful to have the opportunity to serve, and we understand that part of that service is to make sure your scholars succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. And you see kind of some of the growth that scholars in our schools have had. We had 11.3% increases in proficiency. It was the highest of any school in Indiana. For several years, we had 100% of our scholars pass the 3rd grade reading guarantee, which is so important. The ability to read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade is such an important precursor to future success, both academically, socially, and otherwise in school. And we drive every year to make sure that our scholars are getting well over a year's growth as it relates to their state test and NWA.
All right, I'll pick it up here. I'm going to go into kind of our academic model and share a little bit about who we are and how we service our students. Our academic model is really focused on these 6, what we call the academic priorities for success. And I'm going to kind of break them down and talk about each one individually. We believe that first and foremost, effective School starts with effective leadership. So we know that we want to ensure that we have the right person in place that creates and fosters that safe and nurturing environment, not only for staff, but our students and our welcoming our families into our school. We also want that person to be driven and have a sense of urgency and be available for both families, students, and staff. Climate culture is our next one, and we know that our building needs to be safe. It needs to be nurturing. It needs to be a place that parents want to send their students, a place that teachers look forward to coming to school and seeing their students, and students look forward to coming to school and learning. We also want to ensure that our students are experiencing things that help them socially and emotionally, such as morning meetings. All of our schools, PLA schools, incorporate a morning meeting session every day to jumpstart their day, give kids a chance to come in, get situated, and feel like they're ready to have a successful day. We also implement the restorative practices in our building, and we also include the PBIS system. We have a system that we utilize where we track those data points for our students. We want to ensure that they're receiving a 3-to-1 positivity ratio, because we know we have to build up our students. We're going to focus on those positives instead of those negatives. Our next one is effective instruction. This is the core of it, right? Like what happens in the classroom every day and what we provide our students. We want to ensure that our teachers are set up for success. And we do that a lot of ways. One of them, we have a system called the PLA coaching cycle that is not punitive. It's an opportunity that it helps and coaches teachers. We know that just like our students, we don't want to wait till the end of the year and we're giving teachers an evaluation and nowhere along the way they weren't coached and all of a sudden it's a surprise, right? The same thing with our students. When they take an end of the year assessment, it should never be a surprise where our students land. So what we do is we coach our teachers along the way, provide our teachers with a lot of feedback, a lot of resources and support throughout the entire year. We actually have, it's an online system, so teachers have their own access and they receive that immediate observation form and then sit down conversations within 24 hours. We also have what's called a PLA Learning Institute, which is an online portal that teachers can go in and receive professional development in your pajamas if you want to. So you can do it at home on your own time. But what's great is our leaders can even link resources straight to the coaching cycle. So if leaders are in there doing an observation and they see an area of support, they can immediately link resources to support that. We also know that curriculum assessments and intervention are key to success. So a lot of people want to know what happens with the curriculum. One of the first things that we will do is do what's called a curriculum audit. We want to know what you have. We want to know what you currently are using. And I always use this joke, but I look at my phone and I think of all the apps I have on there that I'm not using that I'm paying for. That's what happens in buildings, right? So we order curriculum constantly. We have those resources and a lot of them sit on shelves or they're broken curriculum. So we want to figure out what you have, what's successful, and we want to build off of that or replace and replenish. We also want to ensure you've had that implementation training for the curriculum you're utilizing. A lot of times we go in and teachers have curriculum, but they never receive that training on how to implement it. So we want to ensure that you have that. Interventions, we use a tiered intervention model where we believe that if you're looking at a reading block and it's 90 minutes, we believe that 1/3 of that is on grade level standards. And then the 2/3 of it is really that time to enrich or coach up. So our students that need the extra supports receive that tier 2 time. And then for our bottom 5 to 10%, they will receive the tier 3 instruction time for both math and ELA. The next one is the support systems. We want to ensure that we have the right people in the right places in the building, that they're getting the supports that they need, that we have the right master schedule, that every minute counts in the building. So we're really driving for success. And a collaborative staff, last but not least, I think back to when I first started in education, we were in silos. People shut their doors. Now we want PLCs. We want teachers to have opportunities to work together, collaborate together, learn from one another. And that's in data meetings, PLC meetings, and grade level meetings. What does this mean for scholars? And, for the parents and for the teachers that are here tonight, This just outlines a little bit of what I've already shared, but a little bit more specifically to scholars. Personalized instruction. We know that those students that have IEPs or ILPs, we will ensure that those plans are met. Our Office of Special Populations, they focus on the GT, the special education, and the ENL. We ensure that we meet the requirements of those individual plans. Our students, if they have a 504, those plans are met, plus additional opportunities outside of that. Tiered scholar support, which I've already touched on a little bit. Free summer learning in the future, in the years to come. PLA has a great sister program that we like to provide in the summer so that there's no learning loss over the summer. And then a couple of other features, character development, and support for our scholars. We've recently launched our own PLA University for those scholars that graduate and are looking for another career path, or journey to take to learn more and be ready for that next step in life. What does this mean for parents? What do parents have to look forward to? Focused attention and individual scholar needs. We want to ensure that every child is looked at and we start from where they are, the whole child. New leaders rallied around scholar achievements. Parents will see leaders in the building in there working together and supporting the teachers and the students. New communication tools, strong communications with our families. We believe and we have the expectation for our leaders that there is weekly communication, and that comes in the forms. It could be newsletters, it could be using the S'mores app where it's sent out and through email, but weekly communication with our parents. And we expect our teachers to provide that communication. Some teachers choose to use apps like Remind or emails or phone calls. We want our teachers to reach out to families, not for just the behavior problems, but to build those great relationships with parents and get to know them in the beginning before a behavior problem ever even happens. Parents don't want to pick up the phone and the first call they hear is about behavior. They want to hear that it's an introduction. This is who I am. It's nice to meet you. And then that strong school partnership. We, during the pandemic, we haven't been allowed to have parents come in as much, but once that ends, we love for parents to come in, eat lunch with students, and have that opportunity to grow and learn in the building as well. Parent engagement, I've kind of touched on this a little bit around the expectations of communications and collaboration, so I won't go in depth there. But we do have a system in the center where it says high level of communication, where we expect community events to happen once a month, at least, at the minimum. We want to see things like All Pro Dads or Muffins with Moms or reading math nights happening in our buildings and bringing our families together. And finally, what does this mean for teachers? So what kind of support will you receive? And we've kind of touched on a lot of these academic support. We recently have been working with our leaders. We have a program called the Turnaround Leader Residency Program. And we've been working with leaders on how to unpack standards and ensure that our teachers know how to unpack those standards and then design assessments around the standards. Coaching and training, which we've spoke of. And then you have a wide range of support. We have a huge headquarters team that really supports our schools and our teachers and the needs. With this partnership, which you've already started to see because the emails have come out, and we're excited to see how many of you have already signed up to meet with us. So awesome job on that. But this will start really with us getting to know you a little bit more and having those initial interviews. And I'll touch on that in just a minute. Our support staff, how we support you, not the support staff and the staff that's in the building, our PLA training department. We also have a great staff appreciation process that we use every year, where every month we have different touch points to show you, all staff in the building, how much we absolutely appreciate and value what you do every day. It's a lot of hard work, and we always want our staff to feel appreciated. In August, July and August, we spend a lot of time in the beginning parts training not only our leaders, but our teachers. So we have what's called our Teacher Institute and our Leadership Institute. And then I've touched on the coaching cycles and the PBIS. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jason to share a little bit about HR.
Good evening, everybody. As Andrea said, my name is Jason Feldman, and I'm the Director of Human Resources for Phalen Leadership Academies. And I want to just start by thanking you for coming to this important meeting. I know it's late and we all have busy schedules, so I appreciate you taking the time to learn about PLA. I just want to start with how you can contact us. We offer numerous ways for employees to reach out to Human Resources. We have a call center where you can call the 1-888 number, leave any message to us. It will get routed right to Human Resources, and we will respond to whatever your issue is accordingly. You can also send an email to a dedicated Human Resources email box. It's humanresources@phalenAcademies.org. And of course, you can also just call us. We believe in an open door policy, so you don't need to schedule an appointment. You can pick up that phone and call us, and if we are able to, we will drop what we're doing and help you resolve whatever issue you have currently going on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the HR services that we provide, the employment process that we're going to set up, and then we'll talk a little bit about benefits and compensation. So let's start with our HR services. We have a dedicated HR reps who are able to provide guidance and support and really help you answer any questions you have about anything. Our philosophy of HR is that we are a support department whose main responsibility is to help employees succeed. Regardless of what your issue is, HR is available to provide you guidance and help you move forward. We view our job as helping you do your job the best that you can. We are here to help you succeed, whether it's a benefits issue, conflict resolution, performance, or just a simple question about PTO. All you have to do is reach out to us, and we are here to help you in every way we can. Like I mentioned earlier, we have virtual office hours. You can schedule a one-on-one, which would be 100% confidential, and discuss any issue you want. You can schedule that just to vent if you want. We are here to listen, to provide advice and support, and to help you be successful. So the employment process that we've created is a very streamlined process for you. All staff, and you may have already received this, will receive an intent form, which you will indicate if you have an interest in joining PLA next year. Once we receive that intent, you will then schedule a chat with our team, of which we will go talk about you, get to know you, you'll get to know us, we'll talk about your experience and qualifications, and move forward. Our goal is to retain as many of the current staff as possible. You are the ones that have relationships with the parents, the students, the community at large. We want to continue those relationships. Historically, we retain about 85% of the current staff when we partner with a new school. So compensation and benefits. First, I just want to start by saying we do not decrease anyone's salary. We have an extremely competitive compensation structure, which allows us to attract the best possible talent for our scholars. We want to find the best and the brightest out there and bring them to PLA so that they can impart their expertise and wisdom onto our scholars. In terms of benefits, they will be comparable to what you have now. There will be comprehensive medical and dental, as well as a retirement plan that is equal to what you have now. We are always looking at improving our benefit offerings year to year. We do lots of audits and always look at what the best offerings are out there available to you. And then we also have an online portal that gives you 24-hour access to all of your benefit information at your fingertips. When you are able to do it 2 in the morning, you can log on and do and look at whatever you'd like. So I just want to, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for attending this important meeting. Andrea, back to you.
All right, so some of you might be wondering what's next. So I'm going to walk through this slide with you a little bit so that there's a little bit more of an understanding of the next steps. The first one is the virtual kickoff. That's where we are right now. So thanks for joining us. The next one is the link to indicate your interest. All of you should have already received a link and an email from our recruitment director, Amber Deckard. You should have received that. And we know you have, because we've already been getting a lot of replies from that. So you'll get that link and you will indicate whether you're interested in staying with the school for next year. Then we will schedule an interview with you. So our academics team is already set up some times of availability. So once you indicate your interest, we will reach back out to you with some opportunities for you to decide what fits best with your schedule, and we'll schedule an interview. We also will be popping into your classroom sometime in the near future. We're anxious to see you in action and see all the great things that's going on. So we'll do some observations and get into the virtual classrooms that are taking place right now. And then finally, at the latest, you will receive those offers by May 1st. And as Jason said, our hope is that you want to stay with us, that you are interested in continuing what you're already doing with families. And we're hoping that we can continue to work with you and alongside you. And we're going to pause there, and I'll stop sharing and we can go into the question part. I think Michelle's on and she will facilitate this.
Okay, so now it's time for the fun part, question and answers in the chat. Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. Ms. Brown asked, if staff are applying for positions that require advanced credentials and licensures, will grace be extended in the transition?
So when
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading the question. Absolutely. We will give time for people to obtain those credentials, the proper certifications. We know that people may have to be moved into different classrooms that they may not, have the correct certification for. So we will absolutely give grace for that.
And then Andrea, this is for you from Ms. Holland. What does social emotional learning, character development, and behavior support look like day to day at PLA?
A couple of different things that we do, and I spoke to this a little bit. We always start our day with our morning meetings, and we put that and pair that with our Kickboard app that we use, which is our way of monitoring that positive behavior piece. So within our Kickboard piece, we have those character education words and the things that we're looking for. So for example, in the month of August, it might be determination. It might be perseverance in the month of November. And so whatever that month is, and we tie that with what we're doing during our morning meetings. So within that, we have book list, we have videos that have songs that are connected to whatever that topic is. And then we're also looking for kids to exhibit that and model that. And with that positive narration, I like how Carl is sitting there quietly and showing that he's ready to learn. So just that positive narration as we do it as well.
And Earl, Mr. Dickens asked, will this be PLA's first campus in the area?
Yeah, this is our first campus in DC. We're excited about it. We actually think that's a strength. We have regional teams, recruiters, and student enrollment coordinators, operations, and to have a sole focus of that team on the Tolson campus, we're really excited about it.
And there's multiple questions here. How do you make the EL programs different from other organizations to ensure our scholars' success?
I don't know if it's different or not, but I know we definitely include, it's very inclusive. So one of the things that we do is we have that tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 support. So we ensure that our EL learners are getting what they need and the reading skills. So if you think of the big 5, we're always ensuring those foundational reading skills are a part of what they're receiving in the tier 1 instruction at grade level. But then our EL people push in during tier 2 time. So if I'm a teacher and I'm getting to the time where I'm breaking out and meeting each of the kids at their individual needs, the ENL teacher may push in, a special education teacher may push in. They're pulling their individual kids within the classroom to work on those individual skills. If their learning plans require additional minutes outside of that, that may be when they're pulled out and they provide those targeted supports during additional times. So it's very inclusive, and it's also, we're meeting those requirements and extending them if we need to as well. Our materials are often within our curriculum that we utilize, but we also have additional things like Lexia that we also include to help enrich some of the programs that you already have in place.
And also, aside from the push-in, pull-out model, do you also consider or have started a sheltered content instruction model for ELLs?
No, we do not have that currently, but that does not to say that it wouldn't be something we would continue.
And just last one on this, could you tell us what the EL support team or department looks like?
We have a department of special populations, and that department then has people that support gifted and talented special education in E&L. So those people really help to ensure that we are in compliance as well as meeting all the kids' needs.
And then I know, Ms. Jones says, I know that there are a number of leadership will be present in the building. Will leadership representation and training from PLA be housed at Tolson?
Yeah, absolutely. So the regional team, as I shared, will be there. And then for the professional development, as Andrea shared, the Leadership Institute is part of our national piece. So you get to be part of a cohort of other principals, assistant principals, deans, instructional specialists from around the country, and really build that cohort of relationships. But then the professional development that happens is tailored specifically for Tolson and the needs of our scholars there, and that is housed at Tolson.
And Earl, we also want to know, does PLA offer extracurricular activities for scholars?
Yeah, I mean, we believe in the development, just like friendship, development the whole child. So the afternoon enrichment opportunities, whether they're art, STEM, physical education, and on a debate and on are part of that. As Andrea shared, we also have Summer Advantage, which is our evidence-based summer learning program. It has the highest evidence of any summer learning program in the nation. It combines breakfast and community time, morning academics, then with, again, art, physical education, music, dance, theater, film, STEM. And then Fridays for the enrichment piece include field trips, scholar-led community service projects, and guest speakers who really show our scholars what's possible if they continue to make really good choices as it relates to hard work and effort. We can't hear you, Michelle. Michelle, you're on mute.
She's had trouble today with her Wi-Fi, so I will pick up where
the moderator role of this piece. The question, how do you guys plan to support MKV population?
Gonna need a little more context on that one.
I'll unmute. Hi, my name is Ms. Holland. I'm Tolson School Counselor. MKV stands for McKinney-Vento.
Okay.
Our homeless population.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. So we have a compliance team on our national team that really works with each individual school to ensure that we are compliant on all of those pieces. So we will ensure that's happening at the national level, and then we push into the school level to ensure that we are definitely meeting and supporting those needs.
Ms. Brittany asks, what are the classroom sizes and adult to scholar ratios? And so we're 1 to 20 for our younger scholars, 1 to 24 for our older scholars. And then we often have additional teachers' assistants to provide that 2 to 20 or 2 to 24 ratio. Ms. Francis asks, does your organization have openings for special ed resource positions?
So we would encourage everybody to apply and interview. We definitely want to ensure that we have all of those positions filled. So definitely, yes, there are openings. So please apply.
Ms. Andrea says Tolson is presently pre-K through 8. On your website, it says K. We actually have several schools that are preschool pre-K through 8. So absolutely will stay that way. It wasn't asked, but the name of the school will stay the same, with the exception it will not have PLA on it. It will just be Hope. And then the other question that was asked is, will the logo stay the same? Will the mascot stay the same? Will the color scheme stay the same? The answer is absolutely yes to all three of those. Mr. Carl asked, do your schools typically have in-house related service providers, psych, OT, speech?
It depends on the number of students that we need to serve. And so, depending upon the numbers, we've reached out and had outside sources come in and support, but depending upon the numbers, we definitely have them in the school as well.
Mr. Sanchez asked, does PLA practice restorative justice?
Yep, and I included that in the social and emotional piece that I shared earlier.
Ms. Teresa asked, for staff that aren't in the classroom teaching, like a behavior support staff, how will we think about observations for them?
We actually have 7 domains within our observations, and they range anywhere from behavior supports all the way to instruction. So we have different observations to meet the needs of different people in the building. And I want to pause on that one, Earl, for just a minute, because they may have questions about the behavior side of it and how that works and looks. We always try to keep our teachers teaching. So we want a strong behavior support system in the building so that our teachers can keep teaching. So when those behaviors do happen, of course, we have level 1 behaviors that we like our teachers to deal with. And then when it escalates to a level 2, we push those behavior people in to hopefully de-escalate the child. If we can keep the child in the classroom, if not, they can pull them out, work with them and bring them back and hopefully keep them in. We've went into other schools before where we've put in place a calming room, a place for those kids to come step away, decompress, and then hopefully get back in the classroom.
Miss Andrea asked, parents are asking about uniforms. What should we tell them? So color scheme is the same, uniforms are going to be the same, and logo is going to be the same. Miss Amanat, and I apologize, I got that wrong. Will school still go through 8th grade? Also, will the school name remain the same? School will go through 8th grade. It will be pre-K through 8, and the school name will remain the same, less the Imagine component of the name. Miss Andrea said, by the way, our mascot is the soaring eagle at Tolson, not the husky like Lamont. So Michelle, fix that on the next presentation. Thank you for that correction, and my apologies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Anderson says, seeing that we are probably going into a hybrid style of learning, are your plans to go fully back into the building, or will there be a potential for continued hybrid? I think that's all based on the science. So we don't know what next August holds. We don't know how the vaccines are going to go as it relates to, obviously there's positive news as it relates to those things, but we'll follow the science as we have in all of our schools. And so if hybrid is what's called for, and please God, it won't be what's called for next fall. But if it is, then we'll do hybrid. If the science is directing us to be fully in person next fall, then we'll be fully in person, because we think that that's a better learning experience for children while respecting the health of everybody. Miss Andrea, you've asked a lot of questions, so thank you for all your questions. Miss Andrea asks, is PLA planning on a renovation too? The answer is we have not been blessed yet to see the facility, so we can't speak to that at this point. We're going to set up a virtual tour of the building. Obviously, it's hard to get on planes right now and come to see, but we're going to set up a virtual tour of the building, and so that will give us a chance to see how we can make improvements. In our past schools, we really believe that the space needs to represent our scholars and our respect for them and our love for them and our aspirations for them. So we'll see the building, and then we'll make determinations as it relates to how to make sure that the physical facilities show our scholars how much we believe in them and how much we care about them. Ms. Brown asked, you mentioned a calming room for children. Andrea, can you speak more on this?
Sure. The calming room that we put together at our other school this last year was an opportunity for kids to go in. The lights are a little bit dimmer in there. There's bean bags in there. There's places for kids to sit down. We have stress balls, things for fidget tools so that kids have opportunities to kind of get out the aggression that they may be feeling, a chance to calm down, and then move into a time where they can talk about it, talk through it, and then hopefully move out of the calming room. So it's a quiet place for them to calm down in a neutral setting.
Ms. Teresa asked, how has PLA handled virtual learning thus far? What supports has PLA provided to families during this time? We understand this has been an incredibly hard time for you as parents. There've been several supports provided. Some obviously, the technology, the hotspots, which most everybody's done. We set up a help desk that's essentially open 12 hours a day to support, even though our virtual learning has been done synchronous, so it's live instruction, teachers with scholars. We've still set up a help desk that's in multiple languages, that's open 12 hours a day for families who, wait a second, my hotspot's gone out, or I have more than one child, and so it's slowing down kind of my child's ability. We provide support with that. We know that parents, particularly of younger scholars, but actually of all scholars, have to almost serve as sort of a learning coach. So we've set up a support program. It's not even a program, it's really just kind of some training about some ways that you can help your child without now all of a sudden giving the answers to your child and taking away their ability to be the learners in the virtual situation. And the final thing I'd say is we have a PLA virtual, so it's a virtual school, and would welcome anybody to come on a virtual visit to just see how it's looked virtual. Obviously, that's very different than in person, but if you'd like to come on a tour, just put something in the chat that you'd like to come, or we can find some other way for you to communicate to us. Maybe communicate through our HR piece that you'll see at the end, and we'll have you come on a virtual tour and you can see how that looks and feels. Mr. Haley asked, does your school culture support in-house career advancement, promotion from within, career support? As Jason said, all of our turnaround work and all of our school improvement work and the 6 schools that have gone from F to A's and our 3 partner schools that have gone from D to B have used 85% of the same existing staff that was there prior to us coming in. So we believe in you. We believe that you are the best ones to lead our scholars to success. You've developed relationships with the scholars. You've developed relationships with our parents. And we think if you believe in the PLA process and lean into that, you'll see the same success that our other 9 schools have had. To the opportunity of career advancement, we have several programs. We have pathways to leadership. We have a turnaround leadership residency program. So for those who say, hey, I want to go from being in the classroom to actually being part of the administrative team, maybe not the principal right away, but the administrative team, there's pathways to leadership. Our turnaround leader in residency program is, you know what, I'd love to be a future school leader. So that's an opportunity as well.
And I would just add, we also have a mentorship program for all brand new teachers that come in, or even first year teachers that need those initial supports, where we pair you up with somebody in the building that already has been there for a while, and then they can mentor along the way.
Mr. Frazier asks, does PLA provide resources for additional professional development and teacher certification? And so Andrea, maybe if you could talk about what happens during the year as well.
So during the year, as you complete anything, you go into PLA Learning Institute and complete any of those courses. Those courses are worth hours, and then you can print out certificates. You'll receive certificates. We also provide virtual and in-person training. So we've had right now it's been all virtual, but our training department has been doing training PDs. As those people sign up for those, at the end of it, you instantly receive those certificates. And then we also offer, which we hope anyone that stays will join our summer book club. And with that, you will also receive a certificate. All those certificates can go as license renewal, so you can use those to help renew your license. Or if you need those credits to get your license recertified.
We were asked what technology, Mr. Dickens asked, what technology resources are available to PLA scholars. So right now we have 2-to-1 devices. So it's 1-to-1 in the school and then 1-to-1 at home. Our flagship school at PLA is a blended learning school. So technology is one of the learning stations for children. We know that comfort on computers is going to be a critical 21st century for children to be successful as adults. We've also had a partnership with New York Film Institute. So during our STEM program, our scholars created last year Rosa 2020, which was a reenactment of Rosa Parks, but it was their version of what it would be like in the 2020 piece. So that's some of the technology that's available, and obviously there's technology available for and educational programs available for our educators as well. Miss Andrea asked, for parents that are apprehensive about the transition, how would you prefer that we assist them in accepting and becoming comfortable with the transition? I mean, I think a few things. One is, please keep coming to 4A like this so you can ask your questions and hear from us directly. Second is, we're in service to the Hope Board. And so please know that what the aspirations and the focus that the Hope Board has had, and that you as the leadership within the school has had, we're fully aligned with that piece. I think the third is, if somebody again wants to come and have a virtual experience with PLA, they're welcome to do that. And the final thing is reach out, and you can reach out to the 800 number. We'll post it up again at the end, and then just have a one-on-one conversation with us where you can express your hopes, your aspirations, your fears, your concerns, and we can have a discussion. A question, Ms. Osigwe is, and my apologies if I mispronounced, what is the current PLA teacher retention rate? We have a goal of over 85% of our high performing teachers stay. And we've been able to achieve that for the last 3 years. Ms. Nicole asks, as a longtime parent, please take care of the staff. They have been beyond supportive and good to my children, as well as so many others. Thank you for that comment, Ms. Nicole. And just reiterating, our goal is for all of you to stay, and for all of you to believe that together we can make sure that scholars have the quality of education that they deserve. So I please hope you'll take the action step and reach out to apply. Dr. Grant asks, are teachers able to integrate their training, educational psychology into the creation and development of curriculum? Andrea?
So our curriculum that we utilize, we won't necessarily develop it. We will utilize a curriculum, but there are opportunities to integrate. So we know that I always look at our model as tight, tight, loose. So the tight, tight part is that we want to ensure that we're using common assessments that are driven by those state standards, and that we're meeting what those standards are asking us to teach our kids. And so if you integrate the additional pieces or resources, that it meets the rigor of what our state assessments are expecting our kids to do. So that's kind of what it looks like. We have a curriculum, or we will utilize a curriculum, but we allow teachers to integrate where it's appropriate.
Amanat asks a similar question. Will PLA use the current curriculum that's being used by Tulsa?
So earlier I talked about that curriculum audit. And so what we'll do is, after we go through the whole interview process, because you're going to get a climate culture survey, so please fill that out. I think that came in the email as well. That really gives us an idea of what's going really well on the building, what are opportunities for improvements. And then the next thing that you'll get after the climate culture survey is a curriculum audit. And in that curriculum audit, we want to know, what are you currently using? What's working? What's not? We want to clean up so we don't have all that extra curriculum there that's not effective, and ensure we have what's effective. From that, we determine what's needed. So that'll take place. And then I also wanted to mention, Earl, before you go to the next question, because I forgot to mention this, we will also conduct focus group interviews. And it was on that one slide where it talked about what was next, where we want to sit down and meet with the leadership team and have an opportunity to talk to you. We want to sit down with some teachers and have an opportunity to talk to you. And then if time permits, we always like to sit down with students. That's our favorite one, to sit down with them and get an idea of what they're feeling about the school and how they feel about the community of the school.
The next question is from Ms. Teresa. What is PLA's take on trauma-informed teaching?
Well, our take is that it's very important, and especially after what we've all been through over the last year with the pandemic. We know that, for example, right now you're completely virtual. We know that our students are in homes. We know that they have not been around other children at this time. That's been very traumatic for a lot of families, to not maybe have the supports of their friends and their peers, as well as families. Parents have had to change schedules. They've had kids home, and they're used to having kids at school. That work opportunities may have changed. So we know there's a lot of things that have happened over the course of the last year. So we find it very important, very valuable, and we ensure that we have the right people in the building to provide the supports for the children that need it, as well as our teachers.
Next question is for Pat. Now that PLA is part of the Hope family, will you allow our scholars to participate in the athletic programs that Friendship has? That question actually wasn't asked, but Pat, I hope you'll allow our scholars to participate in all the programs that Friendship has.
We are certainly going to compete, Earl, and very glad to have you part of the family. And let me say this for people that are on just quickly. I met Earl in the Phalen Leadership Academies probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that we together are going to make sure that you are proud of what can happen for children in DC. So very glad to see you. And yes, we will see you on the basketball court, the football field, in the choir room, and any place else that you want to bring kids.
I'm the basketball coach of our high school in Indianapolis, so we look forward to seeing you there. Happy March Madness. Last question, with the goal of possibly retaining 85% of staff, what will the admin team look like? Same approach. So come to us, bring your A game, show us that you're aligned and you're going to lean into the PLA systems, processes, and belief, and you'll be our future leader or leaders.
Any more questions?
If I missed, the questions were coming quickly. If I missed somebody's question, could you either retype it or just come off of mic and ask it?
There was a question regarding SPED. What does your SPED program look like? And then there was also a question regarding self-contained or class. I think it's SPED in the classroom that was posed earlier too. That one was overlooked.
Thank you, Letitia.
Our special education model is very similar to our E&L model. So we, of course, look at those individual learning plans or educational plans, and we ensure that whatever those goals are that are established in those plans, that our teachers are providing those services for our kids. And that comes in a wide range of ways, and that often is addressed within those plans. So as I said, with E&L, we ensure that we have that inclusive model where our students are included in the general education setting, that they are getting the same exposure to on grade level content, and then they're receiving during that tier 2 time, that push in time, that additional support that they need at the appropriate level and goals that they have.
Any other questions that I may have inadvertently? Oh, here's another one. Ms. West Samato, what does a typical coaching session for teachers look like? Do you believe in role play between coaches and teachers for one-on-one support?
This person knows the book Get Better Faster. And so, yes, absolutely. We believe that as soon as that observation happens, Research says that if you receive feedback within the first 24 hours, and that's in-person verbal feedback within 24 hours, there is 70% chance of implementation. Each day that that meeting does not take place, you lose 10%. So if you're observed and you don't get a feedback for 4 days, it's 30% chance that implementation will happen. So we believe it has to happen immediately within 24 hours. And those are bite-sized goals. Those are not, I'm going to sit down and tell you 15 things that need to happen. That's here's the thing that would help. And it's really a coaching conversation. It's not a leader saying, here's what you do. It's a conversation between two professionals on next steps and what we'd like to see the next time. And it's follow-up. Now I'm going to come back and look for it to be in place. So thank you. That's a great question.
Hi, this is Keisha Jones, and I wanted to ask if you all have a co-teaching model in your classroom, specifically in math and English.
Some of our schools implement that co-teaching model. It just depends, what school and the number of staff that they have available to help do that. A lot of times you'll find our special education teacher may co-teach with the general education teacher for that reading slot of time, or that reading slot of time that happens. We also will see sometimes our interventionist or even our teacher assistants provide that co-teaching model as well. In a couple of our schools, we actually have 2 teachers that will co-teach that are both teachers of the same grade level, and one does the math and then the other pushes in. So you have 2 teachers to support all the kids in the grade level, or if it's 2 teachers or 3 teachers, but they're all supporting it. So you have 2 teachers teaching together.
Miss Allen asked, does PLA currently have any any SPED self-contained programming?
Yes, some of our schools do. They have, for example, one of our schools has a BIP program. And so that has that, it's a self-contained program. And it's about following whatever that plan is for that individual child.
Miss Brown asks, does PLA not only encourage scholars to attend college, but also vocational development? So the answer is yes. As I shared, I coached the basketball team for our school in Indianapolis, and I was sort of, hey, I want all of you to go to college, and Indiana has actually a full scholarship program called 21st Century for anybody who's income eligible. And a lot of our scholars said, Mr. Phalen, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go to work right afterwards. So we decided a few years ago that we had to be responsible in supporting our scholars who wanted to make that choice. So we created a CTE program for our scholars that would ensure that they participated in high quality CTE certification programs. So when they graduate, they have a diploma in one hand, but they also have a certification in another that allows them to get into a job that's generally starting salaries between $30,000 and $55,000 plus benefits. The second thing we did is after George Floyd was murdered, we kind of reflected as an organization about how we could be more supportive to our families and more supportive to our scholars. And so Andrea mentioned it, we created PLA University. That's a workforce development program that is free to any adult relative of our PLA scholars. So older brother and sister, aunt and uncle, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. It has 4 tracks in it. And now the pilot is launching in Indianapolis. So it's 4 tracks, same thing. You come through about a 6-month program and you walk out with a certification and support in getting a job that will earn you $30,000 to $55,000 plus benefits. And we think, hey, if 1 or 2 family members start going through this program, now you have economic strength to live wherever you want to live, regardless of whether the mayor or the governor or the administration wants to make sure that your community is a safe place and the type of community that our scholars deserve. Ms. Jones asked, you're welcome, Ms. Francis. Ms. Jones asked, do we track all of our students once they graduate? Our oldest scholars right now are in 11th grade. So we will be developing a program. One of my mentors was a professor at Harvard Law School named Professor Charles Ogletree. And when we were in school, we created the Ogletree Scholarship Program, which was a scholarship program for young adults who were just inspiration, who wanted to go to college, but economics was a bit of a challenge. We're now launching the Ogletree Scholars Program, which is modeled on one of the nation's most successful to and through college programs called Kansas City Scholars. So I encourage you to look at that because we'll be launching that next year. Ms. Brown, oh, you're welcome, Ms. Brown. Mr. Dickens says, what is the teacher to scholar ratio? I apologize, it's okay. So it's 1 to 20 for our younger, it's 1 to 24 for our older scholars. And then as I shared, in most of our situations, we have a teaching assistant, teacher's assistant for either every 1 to 2 classes or for every class. Were there any other questions that you wanted to ask that I may have missed or we may have missed?
Do you have any specific self-contained programs other than what was discussed? And if not, would you be willing to sit down with our team so we can discuss with you what we have, what works for our children?
Absolutely.
Part of the comprehensive kind of educational analysis process that we do is to see from everybody's perspective what's been most successful at Tulsa, what partnerships are making a significant impact, and then where is there room for improvement. And so we absolutely, Miss Angela or Miss Allen, will sit down with you as part of that process, definitely.
Yeah, are there any more questions? Well, thank you so much, PLA. Thank you, Friendship. Just from listening to the questions, I just want to mention that, there's a reason why we're here today doing what we're doing. So I encourage all of us to have an open mind for change and improvement. From speaking with some parents who have students in SPED, they have not been happy with what we've been doing thus far. So there's absolutely a lot of room for improvement. It's important. Part of the process, as both entities have stated, is looking at, the data, engaging with the people to know what's been happening. But we know, let's admit, let's recognize and acknowledge that we need change. We need growth. We need improvement, and that's the direction that we're going. And another piece about the curriculum, the board has also met with several teachers. There's a need for a change in that area as well. There's a need for a change in the assessments that's being currently used or that have been used over the last couple of years. So when you start to hear about things changing, it's because they need to change. We've also observed students who have graduated from Tolson, they're not doing well in high school. So we also know there's a need for change. Every step of this journey, we've looked at the data. A good chunk of us board members are experts in education. I've been in this space most of my life in my career. We have looked at the data. We've looked at everything that we should look at: enrollment, attendance, speaking to people, so there's a need for change. Let's admit that there is a need for change. So when change comes, let's embrace it because we need it. Same thing with character, a huge emphasis on character development that we've had for a long time. It was, when we talk about character development from that lens, it's from the lens of seeing students of color, seeing Black students as subservient. We appreciate the model for PLA that focuses on leadership, because if you are a leader, inevitably, you will have good character. Good character takes you to that position and keeps you there. But to emphasize on character, most times when it's taught to our children, is to be subservient. So let's be mindful of that too, and not be upset when we don't hear that word so much, because we don't need to hear that word so much. We need to hear leadership, because leadership builds character as well. It's an element of character. We need social change. So some of my work around research, even surveying students in DC from middle school to high school, when we ask them, What would they like their education to mean to them? I purposely put character as one of the options. It was not the top three. The top three were social justice, financial literacy, and life skills. When those things are in a student's education, whether it's in a math classroom, science, or wherever, it means something to them. It resonates with them. They can see the connection. And we have to educate our children in the place of empowerment and leadership. And that's why HBCUs have been successful and have built so many leaders that we see today finally get its due recognition, because it's focused on that, building confidence and leadership. So, we've had enough of the character. I don't think it's gotten us that far. So we need leadership. We need growth and just progress. And that said, Tolson is undergoing some renovation right now. You will see a new sports, multi-purpose sports center when we resume. Definitely, it should be ready by the fall, and so many other improvements that will take place. And we just want to say thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you to Imagine as well for being cooperative through this process. Thank you to Friendship for supporting us through this process as well, because the lease at Lamond, if Friendship did not come to our rescue, we would have to shut down the next 2 years maximum. And thank you to Friendship as well, because you have a solid education model that we all believe in, we all see, and we appreciate. Thank you as well to PLA. We have a track record. We're excited about you coming to DC. Your framework has worked in other places, so this is not your first time leaving your city. You are in other places, and we're looking forward to working with you. We've already started this journey, so we know we have a brighter future to really provide this, high quality education, world-class education that our children deserve. And thank you to all the teachers and staff. Thank you to the parents. Thank you to the students. Thank you to our partners, the education board partners. Shannon Hodge, who's here and has been joining our meetings from DC Alliance. EdOps as well, working with us through this process. The board members, so many meetings. And just everyone. This is a strong decision, but it's a decision that we need to make, and we had to make. And for so many reasons, which we've discussed, we don't have to go back, but start to look forward now. So Pat, Earl, would you like to share any final comments? Shannon, would you like to say anything before we wrap up?
This is Pat, and I just want to say thank you again to the team at Hope, parents, staff, board, partners. We will be in this together, and we're excited about what we can do and about making this the school of your dreams. So thank you.
Yeah, and I just say, I said I was going to share a little bit of my story. I spent the first 2 years. My mom was a teenager when she had me. I spent the first few years of my life in foster care, kind of bouncing from home to home. And there was a front page story that said 70% of Black boys in Massachusetts foster care would end up in prison by the time they were 21. And because my parents loved me and then made the decision to adopt me, I'm blessed to have graduated from Yale University and blessed to have graduated from Harvard Law School, and now get to fulfill my life's passion, which is, as others have done for me, make sure that even though sometimes the odds are against our kids, with love and support and passion and encouragement, and sometimes a little bit of a nudge, anybody can achieve anything. And we're just here to help your children realize their dreams.
Thank you. Any other comments? Shannon, would you like to share? Okay, I guess. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you so much. We love you. We look forward to working together. And our next meeting will be at the board meeting, where we'll come back again together just like this to share updates. And at that point, there'll be a bit more of the protocols around board stuff. But nevertheless, there will be other opportunities to engage with both entities. And as they've mentioned, you've started to receive the emails, so that will continue. The board meetings will continue. And and you have the information of everyone, the board, the schools, to just reach out whenever you have any questions. So we're here, we're in this together, and we'll get through this together, and actually, you know, just thrive. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and God bless.